Welcome to the Profit Tool Belt podcast, just for construction and contracting business owners who are interested in the business of the contracting business. If you want to work smarter, not just harder, you're in the right place. My name's Dominic Rubino, and I'll be your host. Today's guest is Chris Lalomia. Today, we're going to talk about how to grow your Reno and Handyman business. We're going to have a look inside the mind of a home service contractor. Some of you already know Chris from the podcast called The Trusted Toolbox. I was a guest on his show as well, and now I'm having him over here. For those of you who are new, because we've got lots of people now joining us on the show who've never been here before, so welcome to all of you. For those of you who have heard the show before, hang on to your boots. There's a bit of a format change that we've done here, so I want to see if you can find it. Let's start with this, though. What's this podcast all about? Well, I show contractors how to get back in control of their construction business, even if they don't know where to start. See, the truth is you don't need a lot of extra time or a business degree to build a profitable and solid contracting business. You just need simple systems. Simple systems that give you that quiet confidence. Now, for way too long, our industry's been keeping secrets, and I'm here to put an end to that. So on this show, you're going to learn how to use simple systems in 3 different places. Number 1, in the office. Number 2, on a job site. And number 3, in your shop. Now, more important than that, I also show people the secrets of business success, how to work smarter, not just harder, and have a mindset of growth. Now, speaking of mindset, I have a couple of dad jokes for you. Why dad jokes? And as you're going to come to find out, why bad jokes? And why dad jokes poorly delivered with poor timing? Because that's how I do it. I want to get you laughing, and I want to get your mind open so you can hear what Chris has to say. Let's start with this doozy of a joke that you're going to be able to use on your very next job site. There once was a handyman. Now, he was working on his own house, and he had a dog named Mace. Now, Mace was a fantastic dog, except he had a weird habit. He liked to eat grass. I'm talking about the stuff that grows under your lawn. And not just a little bit, but enough grass that would make a lawnmower blush. And nothing could cure Mace of it. So one day, the handyman lost the wrench in the tall grass outside of his house. He looked and looked, but it was nowhere to be found. Anyways, it was getting dark, so he gave up for the night, decided to look for it in the morning. When he got up the next day, he went outside and he saw that his dog Mace had eaten all the grass in the area, everywhere he'd been working, and his wrench was now there in plain sight, glistening in the sun. Going out to his wrench, he called the dog over to him and he said, "A grazing Mace, how sweet the hound that saved a wrench for me." I told you, bad jokes, right? But I deliver them with confidence. That's the thing that I want you to remember. And you're going to try and deliver that too and see how it goes with you. You're going to get groans and moans and people are going to laugh. And then just say this one. Look, not all construction work is equally enjoyable. For instance, drilling a large hole is boring, but fastening 2 pieces of metal together, that's riveting. Oh, yeah, I know. You're waiting for a place you're going to be able to try that. Hopefully, as soon as you get out of your truck, get to a job site, you'll be able to use that one. Actually, when you get to the job site, start with this one. I feel bad for nails. And it's like they can't control themselves. I mean, they get hammered every day. Wah, wah, wah. All right, listen, if you're a business owner who's curious to find ways to run your business profitably, to have more time off, to do the things you love, to build a team you can rely on and grow a company that one day you could sell or pass on to somebody else or just live off the cash flow, then you're in the right place. Look, I tell those dad jokes because I want to open your mind to the possibilities of what you're going to learn from Chris in today's show. Yeah, I goof around a little bit. But this show is as serious as it's very serious. But we can laugh at ourselves. We need to laugh at ourselves so that we have our eyes open to all the opportunities in this world. Hey, I'm a business owner, and I'm also a business coach. The only people I work with actually are construction and contracting business owners, and specifically the ones who want to get to the next level in their business. I host this podcast, this show, because one day I want to be your business coach. As a matter of fact, I have a team of business coaches that I've personally hand-selected. I have high expectations for the people that join my team, and I'm proud of every single one of them. As you listen to this podcast, ask yourself if you think me and my team might be the right tool to help you get to the next level. Now, with that being said, let me go into business coach mode right now. I'm going to challenge you. In this episode with Chris and I, you're going to hear something, you're going to learn something, you're going to realize something. You might find something that you need to double down on or something you need to stop doing altogether. Whatever that is, I want you to decide to take action. in the next 24 hours. And then I want you to pay attention to how that little action improves your business or your life. Okay. I hope you know this podcast is built to educate, inform, and inspire you. So let me get into your head. And I'm now going to ask you an inspirational question. Are you happy being a contractor who runs a few crews? Or do you want to be a business person who just happens to run a construction company? By the end of today's episode, you'll know the answer. Let's get to it. Mr. Chris Lalomia, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to it.
Hey, listen, I was just on your show and you guys are funny as anything. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to do here.
Yeah, man. I'm going to try to keep it as light as I can and try to keep people entertained.
Yeah. Well, we keep them entertained, informed, and inspired. That's what we do here.
I love it. Yep.
So you and I today are going to talk about customer service is sales, specifically from your background in the home remodeling industry.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. I live it every day, talk about it all the time. In fact, just love talking about it. We're doing it again tomorrow in training.
Yeah. You know what I really like about how legit you are is that just before we went on air, I said, Chris, do you have a boo-boo on your arm? And you had that blue painter's tape stuck to your...
That's right. I actually was in the field. First time in quite a while, but this one has risen to the level of me. So I have to be there to tell the crew what I was looking for, and actually was doing some of the punch list work this morning myself.
The blue tape that we love to see.
Love it when they have the blue tape to let us know where all the boo-boos are.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, why don't we do this so that everybody knows who you are as opposed to the boo-boos? Chris Lalomia, who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these forward-facing contractors all over the world?
Yeah, so when I'm not punching out houses, like I said, which I haven't done in quite a while, I speak to organizations talking about how you develop a culture of customer service and culture of training that focuses on sales for people who actually do the work. So I've got a handyman company here in Atlanta. We're going to probably do just under 7 million this year. We got a branch in Athens where we do the small stuff, and then we also have a remodeling division here in Atlanta. And I do run around telling people or talking to people about training. We got a training arm where we talk about how to train our guys in the field who spend the most time with customers most often on how their customer service can help them have a better life and a better transaction each and every day, even if they don't believe it.
Yeah. You also host a podcast, which is how you and I met.
That's right. So I have the Small Business Safari. We've been doing it for 2 years, talking to people about either thinking about starting a business, because I left corporate America to start this guy.
Yeah.
And here I am 16 years later, just an overnight success. It just took me 15 and a half years. So we do the Small Business Safari, talking about how to scale and bring on people. I have a co-host, Alan Wyatt, who is a real estate agent in commercial here in Atlanta. And we kick it around and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. I just listened to it. It came out the other day, and you guys are a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
Let me ask, what else do you do? Because if you do that many things, there's got to be something else I don't know.
Well, so I wrote a book called From the Zoo to the Wild, my journey from corporate America to starting my own business.
Okay.
And so it's talking about how I found myself in the B2C market for the first time ever in my career. And I actually had that aha moment about 2 weeks into it, that I realized I was now running a B2C company when I had only been B2B all my life, either B2B. Manufacturing, engineering, or being a machinist, or working on houses, or going to school and becoming a consultant in financial services and all that other stuff. And here I am working with the general public.
Yeah. It's amazing how there's opportunities show up, and you follow some paths, some scent trails that come up, some breadcrumb trails. And before you know it, you're doing something. You look around and go, how did I start? How did I end up here from where I started?
Exactly right. Yeah. It's never a straight line to success, is it? It's
more
a career path.
Yeah. I love it. Well, let's dig into your background here. Listen, you've got a $7 million handyman company. You're a rare bird.
Yeah, we're a little bit different. We've been able to scale it through process, but mostly through the training and the culture building that we've done. Because one of the things that makes us great is that we get to do all the stuff around the house. One of the things that's really hard is that we do all the stuff around the house.
Yeah, right. From tiles to banisters to fixing lights.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a few things we don't do, but I often joke with a buddy of mine who's a plumber. I said, boy, I wish all I had to do was plumbing every day. It should be a lot easier.
Yeah, I can only imagine the inventory that you've got stacked up.
Yeah. So what we do is we go out to people's houses and take care of that punch list around the house. Try to put a professional spin on having a handyman show up. So our guys will always show up uniform, background checked, showing up in a Merc
Yep.
truck, and we'll take care of things. But we scaled really. That's one of the reasons I started the podcast was we were able to scale something that's usually not very scalable. When you think of a handyman, it's like that your buddy or your friend had somebody come in the house and they used him, and so now you use him,
Yeah.
and he maybe has a helper every once in a while, but they're usually one man bands. And so right now I've got 19 handymen that work for me, and then we corral them out of our office here in outside of Atlanta.
Love it. 19 handymen. And yeah, you're right. Most of us that when we hire handyman, it's a guy who used to be a plumber or an electrician, and he can do some drywall and he can hang a door and da 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 da. But you can never really find a guy to, then it starts to get into the specialties. And anyways, let's find out more about that. But the thing I brought you on here today is to talk about how customer service is sales. And I don't know if you're hearing this as well. I'm starting to get murmurs that people are worried about their book of business going forward. It feels like there's a bit of a slowdown. Now, whether there is or not, I don't know. I've got no crystal ball. I've been through ups and downs. You can see by my gray here. At least it's still there.
At least you have it.
Yeah, well, you've got it there. You've got it. But you know what I mean? Like you and I have seen some up and down markets. They're going to come no matter what, whether it's tomorrow or 10 years from now. But how does customer service relate to sales? And then why do you focus so much on that as you grow this business?
Well, if you do the studies and look at it, it costs $5 to acquire a customer. It only costs $1 to keep one. And what I found is that we go out there, we do all this advertising, we get the website going, we got the social media going, we're on some local radio, I'm in some books. You get the call, you get the lead, you send your sales guy out, you take these guys through their 10-step sales process, you beat them up every week, you make sure you ride with them, you get them all going, and then your guy goes out there to do the work after having set the expectation, hopefully that they'll do it. And the guy gets out there and says, hey man, just let me do my job. And you go like, wait, hang on. If you would tell them you're on your way and text them and let them know you're coming.
Right.
And then when you get there, tell them what you're going to do. Wow, how much easier is your day going to be? And you know what? At the end of the day, you might actually get a tip, you're going to get paid, and you get to go away. All because in the first 20 minutes, you took the time to call, text, and when you got there, give them a plan. And they're like, but I'm going to do the job, man. Why do I have to talk to them? I'm like, yeah, that's right. Because when you talk to them at the end, you are our lone wolf taking care of them out there. You're the face of our company. And that's what we talk about. And if you tell them how great the experience is going to be, and then you exceed that, then guess what they're going to do? They're going to call us back and say, hey, I want him back out to do the job, or I need some more work done in my house. So 40% of our business, because we do so much around the house, is from repeat customers.
Oh, they call you back and now we need this door handle changed or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. And we have over 750 Google reviews now, and it
love it.
The 4.7 ratings and all the good stuff is what the work we do.
You've got me salivating right now. The question I want to ask about the Google reviews, Chris.
Yeah. Go.
How? And people are wondering this, right? They're walking their dog right now, or they're working in their shop. How do you get those Google reviews?
I'm glad you asked. It is not technical. It is not go out and buy some service that's going to blast emails and text messages to people. It is the simple thing of asking your handyman when they're done to go up there and ask the customer to sign the iPad that we have or the tablet and say, I want to make sure that you're happy with the work. I'd also ask you if I could get a review. It'd mean the world to me if you'd give me a review. If I didn't earn 5 stars, let me know and I'll make it happen. And so that's what we do. We incent the guys to ask that question, because I know sitting in the office when I see a good review come in that customer truly is happy, because as we all know, piss off one person and they're going to tell 10.
Yeah.
You make somebody a raving fan and they're going to tell nobody. If you're hoping for 1 or 2, baby, come on, tell me a couple more. So,
and those Google reviews are so critical.
And so we ask our guys to leave it. And they've got a little review card, and it's a non-technical response. And that is
human response.
It's a human response because we're there and the emotional transaction is almost coming to a close. They're at the height of the emotion, getting ready to pay you for the service that you provided. That's when they're most likely to write that good review.
I've heard multiple ways of getting the review. One of them is, and this is from an HVAC service company. So
Yep.
what they do is the same thing that you just said is, let the customer know you're going to show up. Hey, I'm in traffic. Looks like I might be there 5 minutes early, or looks like I might be there 5 minutes late. Just let them know, whatever it is, because that exceeds expectations right there. Then when you show up, do the things like we'll put on booties when we come into your house, or I don't know if you guys do that. But when you're done the job, on the back of your clipboard is a QR code. This is the system they have, a QR code. And they say to the person, because they're standing there with the clipboard, hey, would you mind leaving a review? It would mean the world to me, and my boss is going to check. And as soon as you say that, the people you're working for probably have a boss as well. And they know what it's like to have a boss who's going to check. And all they have to say is, my boss is going to check. And if you don't mind, appreciate a 5-star review. If it's not, let me know while I'm here, and I will take care of whatever that is.
That's what we do.
It's the same thing. And isn't it funny? I'll bet you've never spoken to that HVAC company that I talked to, and that's the system that's in place. So what's that called? Parallel evolution?
Yeah, I love it.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think great minds think alike. That's what I'm thinking. But no, it's we do we have a technology solution? Sure. Do we have a monthly newsletter that goes out? Absolutely. Do we have a review request that can be sent to them from their iPad from our guys? Absolutely. But these services out there that say to do that, guys, I'm telling you, it is a non-technical solution where you just got to train your team to ask for that question at the end, because that's going to help you as a business owner in multiple ways. Not just a review, but now that the job was actually completed. You are more likely to get paid.
Yeah.
And you're pretty sure now that the customer's pretty happy because your guy went up and said, remember what I told you what I was going to do? Well, here's everything I did. And if you're not happy with it, I'll make you happy. And the customer goes, oh, okay.
I'm going to ask you a question that you're not going to expect. Do you hire your people from some magic bucket of people that nobody else has access to?
And that's a big no. I have a tough time hiring because people often say hire for attitude and you can train the skills. I actually need some of the skills because there's just so much that we have to do. They have to come with a certain knowledge set.
Sure.
And if they're really good at what they do, they probably don't need to come to my wolf pack and work for my company as a W-2. They probably can get enough work on their own.
Right.
But as word of mouth starts to dry up, as economies start to waver a little bit, that's where we've been able to pick up some of our best technicians, which is what we call them. And we've got an average tenure of over 4 years, which is great.
Oh, great. So you actively recruit for technicians. And how do, these guys that are skilled often don't, they're like, I know how to do the work. Why do I have to talk to the people? Right. Just let me do my job. I've heard it 1,000 times. I mean, I know you've heard it 5,000, but I've heard it at least 1,000 times. Just let me do my job. I don't want to talk to the lady.
And the guys I'm trying to find too probably don't even have a resume and probably aren't looking. A lot of times it's their wife who's looking to help them get a job, or maybe they can be home a little bit more, or maybe they're sick of watching them do all the books and the invoicing and everything else, because that's where our guys have really shined. Is they're like, I'm thrilled that you guys are doing all the bookkeeping for me and all this other stuff, and I don't have to worry about it. I just make things happen. All I got to do is track my time, take care of customers, and get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yeah, Chris, I can't believe you just lit on that fact that the decision maker in this is probably at the kitchen table with the person working for you, right? Because we have to go where our people are to find people. It's one of the hardest things that we all have right now in trades is to find good people. The hardest thing is to find people. Then you sift and sort to get good people. And as you've said, you need technical and a little bit of attitude, whereas I always push people towards you can hire attitude and train skill. I understand your point. You can't train a guy to know that toilet was built in the 70s and it has this kind of flapper, not that kind of flapper. And he's got to get a little creative on making it work because he just knows how.
That's right. So I need the skills. And then what we do is we try to really train around the attitude to change their mindset. Is that they were used to being a lone wolf, used to being out there, used to everybody that they went to the job to do work for, either it was a referral or a friend or a neighbor so they already knew and liked them. And here what we tell them is like, look, they don't know you, they don't like you yet. So your job is to get them to know you, get them to like you, so that you can get into that transaction and have that great time you're going to have anyway.
Yeah, I love it. So how do you find, I know we need to come back to customer services sales, but I think the conversation's morphing a little bit. How do you find people? How do you get applicants?
Man, I have tried so many different things over the years. When I first started, I'd use the old Craigslist, which is kind of dead now. Um, we post out on Indeed and ZipRecruiter. I recently have found a company that knows our people, and that is knows the handyman, knows the trades,
Mm,
and they are local to Atlanta, but are actually going nationwide. Called Qualified Applicants, and they have helped me really staff up my sales team, my project managers, as well as my handymen
I love
by
it.
sourcing candidates usually using the same methods. I did try a company who tried social media advertisements, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. Again, it's really hard to find people when you get a booming economy. I probably could go back to them now and be able to find more. But right now, I'm getting a steady flow of what I need.
Yeah. Do you mind if I share a couple of things that I've seen work in different markets
Yeah, I'm ready.
to find people? And all of it takes work. When we're doing any kind of marketing and advertising, whether it's to get new business or to hire new people, we have a choice. We're either going to spend money or we're going to spend time. So both of these take a little bit of time and a little bit of money. So maybe they're medium on both. The first one's a little bit wacky, but I think by the time I say the first part of it, you're going to understand the second part. But go to the food trucks in your neighborhood. The food trucks where your guys are already going to, Mom's mac and cheese or whatever tacos or whatever hot dogs. And just go to that food truck owner with your recruitment flyer, your poster, and say, I'll give you $20 for the day to hand this out with every meal, or $100 for the week. You figure out your math with the person, right? But now what we're doing is that food truck is already serving guys who might be working already, doing something else, who are sick and tired, who just had a tough conversation at the kitchen table with their spouse about you got to be home more, you got to make more money, or you don't like this job, you don't like your boss, all that stuff. Boom, you hit them right where they are, which you already touched on about talking to the wife, right? So that one really works. It's so grassroots. You almost laugh at it till you put it in place. And then you go, Rubino, you sneaky dog. So that one
I'm
works
thinking
really
that
well.
right now. You know what? I was thinking that I was like, wow, you sneaky dog.
You sneaky dog. But there's a second one that does use Facebook. And what we need to find, though, and this works a lot when you need immigrant labor, but it can work for any community. So let's just say that there's a lot of Romanians moving into Atlanta. I don't know, just as an example. I'm just going to make that up. You go to the Romanians in Atlanta Facebook page, which is probably run by a Romanian person who, guess what, can speak Romanian and can type in Romanian. And you contact the administrator of that Facebook page and you say, hey, would you mind running my ad? If somebody comes to me through your ad, and you figure out a system to do that, right? Just say Andy sent you or Becky sent you, whatever the name is, right? I will pay you a finder's fee for getting me that applicant. Well, they don't monetize a Facebook group as it is. So you're going to be manna from heaven for that person. So you can actually get into a community. Now you can take that and say, I just did it on a culture or a language, but you can do it as Festool users if you want. You can do it as anything you want. Right. And so if we get creative, because we have to get creative. We have to get creative and we got to get to the source. And I love, Chris, that you said, get to where the wife is the one saying to the husband, in that case, go to this interview, call this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, both of those. I think you're right. You actually hit on something that in the States, it is no secret that all the home building in the last 100 years has been done by immigrants. Predominantly immigrants are doing work or building homes.
That's why my people were brought to this country, to lift heavy things and move them around.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah. And it's true, right? And so how can we ignore the immigrant populations that are coming now? They've got skills. They just can't. They don't know. They might not know that Indeed or ZipRecruiter. Would you type in the random word ZipRecruiter in Albanian if you didn't know it?
No.
And how would they know to come here and do that? So we've got to find them where they are. The same thing as posting on church cork boards or bulletin boards.
That's right.
The churches that are sponsoring people. Otherwise, they don't know, and we have to go find them.
Yeah. That's you got to go where they're at because they're usually not actively seeking.
Is that what you find? They're not actively looking.
No, they'll happen about it. They'll see it. Maybe they're a little frustrated, but I would say 80% of my guys don't have a resume. Have never really had to interview, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so when they come in, it's kind of an odd thing. And so we're feeling them out as much as they're feeling us out and trying to
Yeah.
figure that whole thing out.
How do you test a handyman? What do you do? Like break something in the office and ask him to fix it?
Right.
Yeah.
So what we do is we have a series of questions going through each of the things that we do. We have it broken down by activities that we do. And so we quiz them to see if they'll at least know the lingo, because our guys do need to be able to speak English and talk with
Sure,
customers.
sure, sure.
So if they can explain to us how they do it, then we can feel them out. And then they go through a 2-week training program where they're riding with one of our most seasoned technicians for a couple weeks.
Oh, nice. That's so you have an SOP, you have a process
We do.
for
Yeah, we have
recruiting and for onboarding.
recruiting, onboarding, and then training, getting them going. And then they have a 2-week review. Then they have a 2-month review and then a 6-month review.
I love it. You mean you're running it like a real company?
I'm trying. Yeah.
What happened to Jokester Chris that interviewed me on the other podcast? Where did he go?
I don't know. Every once in a while I try to joke, but I have all these guys run the business for me.
Yeah, I love it. So when we talk about customer services sales, can you tell me about a real out of the park win that you've had at the company where that customer service really like completely changed an end user's life, like a customer's life, or you got like the most glowing, honest, deep review?
Yeah, we got a really touching one, which is another big part. When you invite people into your journey, into your wolf pack, they want to know that they're part of something bigger, and they want to know that you're also involved in your community.
Hmm.
We actually are doing an, I would call it aging in place, but it's really a handicap accessible bathroom for a young man who was unfortunately shot at the age of 18 by his quote unquote friend. And so we are in, and we actually were able to bring the group that I'm part of, NARI, which is national, but also local. We're actually bring all these people in, and we're able to do this and give back on a very small level. We're able to do this bathroom, and she doesn't have to pay as much to do the job, and she get only experts to come in. So that one has been a very rewarding experience for us. We're just finishing up that project here in the next week, and it's really cool to see a bunch of people come together for a good cause. And again, I didn't solve world hunger. I didn't put somebody in a home, but I did help somebody who's got to convalesce and hopefully get his life back.
Yeah. Sometimes people say, well, what charity are you involved in? What are you doing to help the world? And, somebody might say, well, I rescue birds, that have been hit by cars. And somebody else says, well, I serve at this, soup kitchen. Well, neither of those is more important than the other. As long as we're doing something that we believe in and we're putting good into the world, then the world will get better.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That's one where we feel better about it. We keeping the team up to date on it. I've had 2 of my guys volunteer their time outside of work to go do work over there for us as well. So yeah, it's one of those ones where the guys go, okay, yeah, obviously we're doing good as a company, and that's what we get to do because we're a good, strong company.
Yeah. I want to go back to this customer service thing because it's obviously at the heart and the core of what you guys do. And that customer service obviously extends into the community because you're doing community work. What is one of the biggest challenges you have in training somebody who's a great technician and saying, but we do customer service as well, and here's how you do it?
It is a big challenge across the board because when you know your audience, these skilled artists, they are really like artists, like pianists, like guitar players, like sculptors, like painters that are doing portraits. So when that gig mentality, what do these guys all have? Well, they have the self-assuredness to go out there and perform in front of people. They have the self-assuredness to say that I'm really good at what I do. I have a good self-ego about what I do. But you'll see oftentimes these artists are not self-promoters. And so if you ask them to self-promote, they're like, oh, I don't need to do that. People are just going to come listen to me. Or in my case, my guys are like, yeah, but if I'm there to do the job, just let me do the job. That's why I'm there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you have to promote them and explain to them what they're doing, because on the other side, what we explain to our guys is that it's the 3 secrets of the customer, right? They don't know what to expect. They expect it's going to be done right away. So number 1, right when you show up, they think the job's done. Number 2, they will only buy from people they like. So you got to smile a little bit. You can't just be a grumpy frump and go in there and do your job and walk out and go, well, you should love my cabinets that I just made.
Yeah.
No, they want to hear a little bit more about it. And lastly, if you don't tell them how much it's going to be, they don't have an expectation that's in line with us. And typically, the rule of thumb is that they assume it's going to be exactly half of what you're going to tell them. And if they were, right, every time.
Yeah.
So we train our guys on those 3 secrets. And we say, all right, look, now you're part of the club. You now know 3 secrets of the customer. You know 3 things about them they don't even know about themselves. Now, isn't that cool? And now when you go to do your job today and you show up between 8:30 and 9 and start doing your thing, you are going to finish your 1 day job or sometimes a multiple day job. And what's happening at the end is we say, if you do all that, guess what happens? You might get a good review. You might even get a tip, but you definitely get a slap on the back going, man, that was really cool. Thank you for
Wow.
what you did.
You get
And isn't
appreciated.
that the applause at the end of every concert, the applause at the end of every bar gig you see where guys out with the guitar?
Yeah.
So that's what we talk to those guys about. And
Interesting.
that's how we get them bought into it.
Yeah. That's really neat. So customers don't know what to expect. They buy from people they like, right? People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And we have to tell them the cost. Yeah.
So they know, because they typically we're trained, we all have as we've grown up, we're always trained to put our cards in front of us, hold them very close to our nose and not tell you how much I expect to pay.
Yeah.
But if we tell them how much is going to be, then the socialization happens in their head. Oh, well, that's number one, more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Very rarely is it, oh, well, that's half of what I thought. It's always double. And now they go, okay, is this worth it to me? Did this person prove his value to me that while he's at my house, I want him to do more? And that's where we call it an add-on. We don't call it a sale. We don't teach our guys to sell. We teach our guys to add on. And because we also know from the 15 years I've been doing this, when I have an add-on at a customer, I have a customer who's happy. They might not be happy that we found some more wood rot in the house. They might not be happy that when we pulled the door, we might have to fix the framing. But they're happy that the work got completed at the time we thought it was going to be completed, and they're done with it and then go on with their next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand your point there. Like they have a problem that they want to solve. And what we see more and more, I've seen it. I wonder if you do as well, but less people have tools.
Oh,
less people have ladders. Less people have the time, but they do have the money. And yet the need remains constant, right?
Yep. One of the things I do train the guys around is that we have these people now that we're working for, and they're called millennials. And it's not necessarily a bad word, because millennials are more used to a service economy than I am. And I happen to be a Gen Xer at the end. And what they'll do is they'll go get Uber Eats for McDonald's. They'll go use Uber delivery. They'll take Uber to somewhere. They expect a service economy. And when it's bundled, they'll pay for it.
Right.
If you don't make it easy for me, though, and I have to start picking things apart, and I really don't know what to expect, then I'm going to start to ask questions, go to YouTube, go to Google, call my dad, and I'm going to go, wait a minute, I don't know if I trust you yet. I don't know if I like you yet. Let me see. Oh, you know what you're talking about. Cool. All right. Thanks, man. So millennials are good, but you have to change your service mentality with them. It has to be quicker, more communication, more showing, and then get out of their way, because they're paying you for a service so they can go back and do their life.
That's right. Get back to, I don't want to say gaming, because I don't want to assume that they're gaming.
Right.
I don't want to assume.
Come on.
But however, we're right. Yeah, I am showing my age right there. I am showing my age. Chris, this has been fantastic. I have a feeling I'm going to invite you to come back again to talk about something else. I feel like there's a lot of different avenues we could be talking about. Hey, before I let you go, can you tell us a little bit about NARI? What it stands for? But here's why should somebody join a trade association?
Oh, I can give you that. So
love it.
NARI is the National Association of the Remodeling Industry here in North America. I think it's right now just in the US. Most major metros have it.
Yep.
I joined the group because we had happy hours once a month. So that's,
let's be honest, right? Yeah.
I wasn't there. Here's what I found, though. I found people that were contractors who knew more about remodeling than I did. I found people who knew more about business than I did. And I found people who worked as ethically and responsibly as I do. And I want to be a part of those people. And if you've heard that adage, you want to be the average of the 5 people you deal with every day.
Yep.
These people are somebody I deal with now on a monthly basis. And I liked it so much that I'm on the board now. And so the benefit has been really immense here in Atlanta. And I'm looking forward to it now as I'm moving up in the leadership. I've had a couple people on our podcast from the national organization of what's happening, because I think it's a real cool thing for us to all to be doing.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we stumbled on that question, because I'm a big fan of trade associations in general, because of exactly the things you said. Go and hang out with other people. There's no secrets anymore. Everybody think, oh, I've got the secret sauce to fixing a cabinet door or how to raise sunken concrete. My friend, no, you don't. You do not have a secret. Everybody knows the same thing, and I can go check it out on YouTube if I need to. But what the secret sauce is the interpersonal relations, hanging out with other people that are forward-facing contractors. And when you finally get to that point in your business where you get up and you stretch your back and you're like, I got to go talk to some other people and see what they're doing. I can't be reinventing the wheel every day. You are getting to the next level in your own business. And you just have to hang out with that another group of people.
Yeah, it's been very good for me in my business. I've enjoyed the relationships and and getting to know others. And believe it or not, you do trade business back and forth. Some of the remodelers, because not all remodelers are the same. A remodeler may do a full addition and starts at $500,000. A remodeler may only do bathrooms and kitchens, and he starts at $100,000. And so when we're coming as a handyman, we're a lot smaller, but you learn from these guys, and they've actually learned from me as well, because obviously I've talked here locally and on the national level about what we do. Because when they hear that I did 2,200 transactions last year, some of these remodelers who do 12 to 15 are like, oh boy,
can you do our warranty program? How many of them ask you that?
Yeah, and so we actually do the punch out list for 3 of them right now.
See, I mean, it just makes sense right there. So my big takeaway from that is, folks, it doesn't matter what trade association you're in or you qualify for, go be part of that trade association.
100%.
There's value there, and you just can't. It's hard to quantify. There's 1,000 reasons not to join a trade association. It's too expensive. I can't get to the meetings. All those things. I get it. But then the value comes from standing in line, Chris, with you, grabbing a cup of coffee or an evening event, a glass of wine. And the 2-minute conversation we have is going to blow away anything you paid for fees for that association, because I'm going to get more value in that than anything else.
I agree completely. I don't have the time. Now my kids are older now. And one of the reasons I resisted going to those things is because they were in the evening and my kids played sports or were running around, and it was just hard to make it all work. And then so eventually when I could start to make it work, I did. And so I get it. So the time is a big component. I don't like networking. I don't like talking to other people. Get over yourself. Even if you're an introvert.
Yeah, nobody else likes it either, but they're still there.
Right. Yeah, go there. And you know what? I have been in no less than 10 other remodeling organization companies here in Atlanta, where we traded ideas and thoughts. And I talked to them a little bit about how we do our customer service components too.
Yeah, there's just positives all over. Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. This is fantastic. And I appreciate being on your show, interviewed there. There was a lot more laughing on your episode than mine.
Well, it's probably because your experiences are pretty good. And we still talked about the books when you first started one of your businesses, where you went and bought all these books and you were going to go sell them on there, and you dropped them off and dropped them at
I kicked them out of the back of my Buick. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. I mean, the visual image of getting in the back of the Buick and just pushing them out the side door was classic.
I've got so many of those stories, unfortunately. I've just hacked my way to where I am today. Anyways, Chris, if somebody wants to find you in this big, wide world, we might have a few hints, but where would we go to find you if we needed to?
Yeah, so my company is thetrustedtoolbox.com, but my name, Chris Lalomia, I got a website, chrislalomia.com. You can see the Small Business Safari out there on YouTube, podcasts, wherever you listen to them. They're all over the place. I'm on LinkedIn. Again, it's a pretty unique name. There's not many of us out there. So if you can remember it, it's Mamma Mia Lalomia, Chris Lalomia. Check me out on the Small Business Safari.
What part of Italy are you from?
Sicily.
Uh-oh. I should have started with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Calabrese. I made that joke about that's why my people were brought to this country. I thought Lalomia might have been Spanish, but it's Italian.
It is. Yep. And as most Italians would say, when you say Sicily, everybody's like, otro paese, otro paese. You're in another country.
That's another country. Yeah. Well, the Sicilians say that too.
Yeah. They don't like to be part of the mainland either. But my grandfather, my grandmother, firstborn here, immigrants as well. My grandfather did not work on homes, but he did start driving trucks. So that was his thing. But a lot of my family ended up working on homes.
Yeah,
as immigrants.
Too. That's how we got here.
Yep.
Chris, thanks for being on the show. We'll have you back again.
All right, man. Loved it.
Have a great day.
All right.
Bye-bye. Well. What did you learn from Chris? Oh, there was a ton of information there. Actually, it was a very business-like conversation. You can tell that Chris is a very high growth, forward-facing business person. I hope you enjoyed the insights that he shared here. It was excellent. But what'd you learn from him? And again, back to the challenge I made at the beginning of the show. What are you going to put in place? I'm going to ask you a quick favor. Make sure you put something in place from what you learned today. That's how you get the most out of this show. Folks, I've been asking people for reviews on the podcast. Leave a thumbs up, leave a review, leave something like that. And again, not for me, but so that other people know that this is a trusted place to get information on how to get their business to the next level, from how to move from stress and frustration to clarity and that quiet confidence I talked about earlier, to move from being frazzled for time all the way to having a clear understanding, a manageable day, being able to get home and do things with your family. It's all you want to do, right? But if other people need to find this, and that's how we can help them, find a way to leave a review, and I appreciate that. By the way, the amount of listeners to the show has gone through the roof. So clearly you guys are telling your friends. I appreciate that. So keep telling your friends, and more people will listen, and our community will grow. Listen, I promised that we're going to identify a common problem for contractors. We do that in this portion of the show all the time. And today I want to talk to you about how to get things back under control. So I want you to think about this situation for a second. Let's say that you're a guy and your wife or your girlfriend is out shopping. It's at the grocery store. And she runs into your best friends who you haven't seen for a very long time. And first thing they say is, "How's Jim?" By the way, in this story, you're Jim. Just so you know, you're Jim. How's Jim? We haven't seen you guys in a long time. And back and forth, your wife says, "Yeah, it's been forever." And you're talking about making plans. And so your friends say to your wife, to your spouse, to your girlfriends, "What's going on?" And she says, "Oh, Jim's just super crazy busy, super stressed. He's chasing this job and that one. His crew is giving him problems. He's got this one client who's really just giving him a hard time." That's the filter that people around you are seeing. You haven't seen your friends in a while. When your wife gets a chance to talk to somebody, she feels the strain and the stress that you're going through. At the same time, she knows you're trying your best. You go out there with the best of intentions. You do great work for people. You get lots of referrals. They love you. That keeps you busy, but somehow you feel stuck in a loop, and that gets frustrating, right? I've been there. You might be there right now. Maybe you worked your way through it, but as you get to the next level, you find it starting to happen again. Well, if you find yourself in a place where you want less stress in your business and in your life, if you want more predictability, and you want kind of a do more of this, don't do that kind of structure, I've got something for you to help you wade through that bottleneck and get to the other side, right? And what it is, it's called the Ultimate Get Things Under Control Guide for Contractors. And if you want it, you just text me and say, "Get under control." And then I'll send you the document back. It's just a worksheet. It's the kind of worksheet that you would do. Maybe you would go do it with your wife. You say, "Honey, let's go for coffee tonight." Get the kids all settled, or maybe take your daughter to softball practice, get your son off to whatever he's doing. You say, "We got an hour. Well, let's go hit the coffee shop. It's right across the street." You walk across the street, you pull out the report, and you start to work your way through it. It's broken into a couple of sections, okay? And the sections lay it out for you so that you can figure out what your biggest pain point is, or what your strain is, or what your stress is, and you can deal with that first, okay? So this is a menu document. There's a lot of items in here, and you choose the one that you want. So it goes through these areas of being a business owner, especially a business owner that's thinking about growth. So the areas it goes through are time, your people, money, how to have less stress, and then there's another wrap-up section with some bonus materials. But as you scan through it, you're going to see pretty quickly which area you want to focus on. There's examples in there. There's tiny case studies, like just real quick, so-and-so had this problem. Here's what we did. Here was the result. And it's always nice to see those case studies, at least for me, when I'm looking at learning something or taking myself through a growth exercise in my business. I want to see those because it helps me understand I'm not the only one in that situation. I'm not the only one with a team problem. I'm not the only one trying to figure out how to be more profitable, or I'm not the only one trying to figure out how to bring home just a little bit more money so we can plan a family vacation or do something that I promised the kids, right? So if you're in that situation, just grab this thing. Just send me a text message. Just say, "Get under control." Well, text me get under control. And my cell phone number is 315-903-7853. Once that's out there, once you send it to me, then I'll just shoot you the document back and you just download it. Actually, put it on your hard drive so you've got it forever. And then what a lot of people do is they'll print it off, like I said, and you can go with your wife, or if you've got a partner, if you've got a foreman or a crew leader, you can take it out with them too, right? And just walk through it. As you can see, if you're watching me on a YouTube video, you can see that I'm looking at another screen. There's some tips, for instance, under time management. And look, I know that you probably know a bunch of these things. I guarantee a whole bunch of these things you already know, or maybe you've tried them in the past, they didn't work. But there's little redirects in here, little tips or things you hadn't thought of, or reminders that, hey, the last time you were doing this, you were on the right path, keep going. If that's all it is a little, when you put your kids on that spinning wheel at the playground and they just love it and you keep pushing them and pushing them, even though they're going fast enough, they're like, yeah, push me more. Maybe this is that same tool for us as adults for learning. Push me more. Remind me that, if I want to manage my time, I need to have a schedule. I need to work from one single calendar. I need to use technology. And there's a whole bunch of other tools in here. For instance, under use technology, I list a couple of different tools that you can use, some that you've heard of and some you probably have never heard of. And the reason for that is because I deal with productivity all the time. Myself and my team thinks about productivity in the construction space all the time. And so we're always looking for those tools. So those things go into these reports when we find them. We always throw them on here and try to make it more valuable. A whole bunch of tips on growing your team. If you're in a place where your business got to a certain point, but you want to get it to the next level, it's almost certain that you're going to need to add people to the team or change what people are doing on a team. Just a funny thing that's happening right now. Wait, I don't know why I call it funny. I've gone through this particular, it's not a filter. It's kind of like something I have to squeeze myself through to get to the other side. And I don't know if you've been there before, but when I'm starting a company, or if I have a company and it's really small, in the beginning, I don't want to have titles. Nobody should have a title. I don't really have a title. Somebody say, are you the owner? Well, yeah, but we don't really have titles here. Everybody kind of does everything. And maybe you feel the same way. We have a company here where everybody does everything. And that works up until a certain point. And what I find is that works until accountability start falling off. Maybe because I'm too busy following up with jobs in process versus new leads, new deals. And I just realized, I'm not following up as quickly as I can. I haven't gotten back to old customers. So now deals are starting to fall off. You're not getting that job that you really wanted because you didn't follow up with the customer. Somebody else did. So as the company grows, if you're like me, you realize we might actually need to start having titles here. And there's this feeling in my stomach, like, I don't want to be the kind of company that has titles where everybody's got a job description and a role. But at the same time, I've had my nose broken, my jaw punched. I've been knocked flat on my butt so many times by not having it that I've started to learn at a certain point, you got to have somebody who's in charge of this, and their title is that. And so when we start to look at the section of this report around team, there's some tips or some starting places for you on that as you move. Truly getting to the next level in your business means shifting a couple of systems. That one there I gave you as an example. We're doing right now for actually a company that does construction manufacturing. They build kitchen cabinets. And they're going through that pain internally right now. And yet at the same time, that's a pain that they're ready for. They've earned their way to that pain, if that makes sense. That's why I said it's not really a filter. It's not a bottleneck. You kind of have to push your way through it. And then when you come out on the other side, okay, I get it. Now we're here and you can continue to grow. But otherwise, it does hold you back. Anyways, it'll make more sense in the document. I hope you enjoy it. Grab it from me. Again, you know how to get it from me. You guys already have my cell phone, I'm sure, written down. If you don't, especially for those of you who are new to the show, what you do is you text me at 315-903-7853. And then you just say the words, or just text go back. Get under control. I'm sorry. My mind's all over the place. Get under control. And then I'll know which one to send off to you. It's just really quick. Text me and then we email it back to you. All right. Thank you so much for checking in. I appreciate you being here. I hope you like the genuineness of this show. It's not all finely tuned and edited and all the ums and ahs are out of there. No, Chris and I just talked. I do the outro and it's just me talking. I've got obviously notes in front of me, but it's just real people talking about real business. And I hope you appreciate that. Listen, the podcast is here, but it's a replacement for the real thing. One day, I hope you and I are sitting across from each other, having a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, like real humans talking business. Until then, this podcast is going to have to do. So let's make the most of it. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.